Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, my panelist, Michael Damiani.
How's it going?
A couple other allies bite the dust because it's review season. Everybody's working on something. My Horizon 5 on Xbox Live co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth. Even though it's called Xbox Network now. And making it all happen in the control room, Isla Hink.
Hi. Ooh, I have to fix my camera.
Ooh.
Fix it.
Fix it. Distinguished guests, we are here to talk about some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must first answer for all of the mistakes we made last week. Isla, if you can take a moment, begin
I'm
corrections
ready.
music.
Boop.
Reminder last week, because I selfishly went and watched my best friend get married in Santa Barbara, had a jolly old time, but did the podcast a day early. So some people on that Thursday news were like, did I miss something? I got the podcast early. What's going on? Rockstar said they were going to take the original trilogy off stores on their support site. They didn't they didn't shout that too loud, but it was in the fine print. The God run of the Souls games we talked about that Hob did was in one sitting. So they played
It
Dark
was?
Souls. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They just ran through all of that stuff. I did not watch all of it. That was according to comments. Little Devil Inside, which we talked about a lot, was Steam greenlighted back in 2015. It was also kickstarted. So there's been a lot of public support for that. So more of just addendums to the stuff we discussed. That's it. End corrections music, please.
Boop.
We have been doing a public service, a business service, a service for all of mankind, replacing some actors that have left, some ships, in this case, an animal this week, along with another human being that has left a movie, whether the movie has been made or is made, was made decades ago. We need to replace it with a video game character. Those are the rules. Bloodworth came up with it. Fat J tells us, unfortunately, Gandalf's horse broke its leg on the set of The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Oh, no.
They need a new horse immediately to become Gandalf's companion. What video game horse is it going to be? Number 1, Roach. That's The Witcher's horse.
Okay.
Number 2, Aggro from Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay.
Agro.
And number 3, Rapidash, a famous Pokemon.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited I got you for Witcher and you for Shadow of the
Oh my
Colossus. This should be good.
Definitely Rapidash,
Oh my god,
right?
just Gandalf saying Rapidash? It's
Yeah.
like Lord of the Horses.
Rapidash. Well, we have to also have the disclaimer that like Rapidash would actually look like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It would totally.
Like, it would actually be a cartoon horse.
That
Yeah.
would be...
Arceus is like the greatest graphical detail you can give to it, or the anime. You can't be more detailed than that.
I think Roach is probably the glitchiness of The Witcher 3 is probably going to disqualify Roach because
poor Roach.
Gandalf could just,
Right.
need to go somewhere, and Roach is on a roof of a building, and we lose everything.
That would not be good.
I just
Would not be
imagine him
good.
calling to his horse and then just taking out the Pokeball. I'm like, all right.
He just pulls it
Hopping
out
on.
of his... Yeah.
Agro, I think, is pretty.
It's good.
I don't know,
Fit
like
with the theme
You would have to
of what
call
goes on
Agro
with
like
Gandalf.
6 times. Like, you'd have to be like, Agro!
Yeah, Gandalf.
Agro!
Yeah, Gandalf holds up the staff in one of them, the light. So
Right,
it's like
yeah.
kind of goes with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, it's Rapidash.
But it's
Rapidash.
absolutely
Okay,
like we
okay.
need that.
From Emilio Estevez. I don't want to confuse you. That's the Patreon name.
Okay, I was going to say, is he like, what's he leaving?
Robin Williams, may he rest in peace forever. Little do we know, he received an early copy of Ocarina of Time from Nintendo and has paused all acting engagements until he beats the Water Temple. Since there were no guides until the game's official release in 1998, the producers of Good Will Hunting were forced to choose another actor.
Wow.
Are we filling him with Old Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4, Kratos from God of War, the PlayStation 4, the most recent, or Cranky Kong from Donkey Kong Country? We're going for the Oscar for
This is the
this
one where he's like a genius and it's Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon's Will Hunting, and Robin Williams is the therapist at the at
Okay.
the school or a nearby university that agrees to take him in. for the
Okay.
top
therapist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
He's-
I'm not familiar with the movie.
Is that the
other
one
than
we
the
see
name.
them do solve the thing on the math board? Or
Yeah,
is that, okay.
yeah, he's a janitor.
He's a
I'm
student.
getting
He's a
it
prodigy.
I'm getting confused with Dead Poet Society for a second, so that's one
Right.
that cleared up there.
Although they're not terribly different characters.
that's the other thing.
'cause we are tapping into the literary Williams, which has been on display in several films.
And Kratos is a therapist and a genius.
You know,
And Cranky Kong.
he's doing a lot of soul searching.
Cranky
And then
Kong.
who's the other one?
Old
Snake.
Snake.
Snake is-
Snake. Ooh.
And
I mean, Cranky Kong, I think it'll be funny, but I think there's something about Old Snake that really works.
Yeah.
There's just something there. There's a charisma.
I would love to see Matt Damon bouncing off of Old Snake. I think that is an on-screen
Cigarettes.
presence I would love to see.
I think there's one scene where
Replace
Robin Williams
the cigarettes with a pipe.
Robin Williams bails on him, and like he comes to his office, and Robin Williams not there. It'd be great if he had like Octo camo in the background. He's like, well, I guess he's not here.
Yeah,
All right,
Old Snake is great.
Yeah.
we did it.
I think it's got to be Old Snake.
Phew. Talking about projects in trouble. Take-Two. You heard of them? Mm-hmm. They made a fun announcement this week. We talk about Take-Two a lot. I made a quick list of what they got going. What we mean when we say Take-Two. Midnight Suns, which has not come out yet from Firaxis. Civ 6 also. Gearbox relationship there. All the Borderlands stuff. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, NBA 2K, PGA Tour 2K, Outer Worlds, WWE. They did the physical for Hades and a lot more. On November 3rd, in an earnings call, said that they are canceling a game called Volt from developers Hangar 13, who have only made Mafia 3 and Mafia Definitive Edition. This is a live service game that they were going to make that they are not going to make anymore. They said development costs amidst industry challenges would make it, quote, commercially unviable. What do we think about live? It's interesting that Take-Two had to say this. I actually had my dad on hand, and I was like, "Why say this?" And he's like, "Well, if they're a publicly traded company, they have to disclose. You know, they spent $58 million, $53 million.
Jeez.
Yeah, unannounced, third person in development since 2017.
And publicly announcing canceling a not publicly announced game is like insane.
For Take-Two, it's a
And
pretty high-profile
Take-Two,
company. It doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, I feel like, well, every game studio has games they're going to cancel, and some you'll probably never hear about. This feels like there was just so much money involved that you would think something would have come out with this, and I would love to know someday, like, the reasoning behind why you pumped the brakes on this specific project. But you're saying live service.
As soon as you say live service, suddenly things start to click into place.
Is one was like, okay, with what's going on in the last few weeks of some of the statements out there from other studios about it not working out, this seems like they might have just been like, you know what?
Right.
This isn't the direction we want to go in with this.
And that's what I'm wondering is if they're like, okay, we're super into live service because we're Take-Two. We really want to make this work. Let's figure out a better way to do it, and we're fine losing 53 mil because of all we could make. Or are they like, you know what? Let's not make a live service game. Well, what do you think?
I mean,
knowing so little about the project.
I mean,
like,
they
details are
obviously,
slowly going to come out.
You know, they have, boatloads of money getting made off of NBA 2K and all that. But yeah, trying to keep that going. Yeah, it's one of those questions like, was this a licensed property? Was this original? Because I think trying to do it with an original IP is difficult. And I think back to, it wasn't really a live service game, but Battleborn. Remember when
I do.
Gearbox made Battleborn?
One of the first games I reviewed at Easy Allies.
And it didn't last that long.
Right.
And it had all of the makings, except something just didn't click. And I think sometimes it can take a long time to get to that point, and you can put a lot of effort into art and abilities and design, and eventually realize that we never figured out what the fun game was here.
That too. Also, it depends what type of genre they were going for, what direction, because I think companies are starting to realize now that the live service model, it gets saturated real quickly. Like, you can't have that, like single player offline games, you can have like 20 RPGs come out in a year, and they'll probably all do, like, they all do fine and sell well. But you try and do like more than like 3 of like a hero shooter, 3 of a MOBA, like it gets so crowded, and it's like it doesn't support that because they're ongoing and people don't have enough time to invest in all of that. So I wonder if they just saw like some of the recent failures in and as they pointed out within their own studios that they have their own, like their previous failures there, to said, you know what, whatever this game was going to be, this what we're going for, there's already 2 or 3 excellent entries out there.
Sure.
Where we could throw as much money at this as we want, it's very little chance of succeeding. We should quit now. Like the sunk cost fallacy is like, no, we already put in $53 million. We got to go. They probably are like, no. Someone said no. stop. Like
Yeah,
this isn't going
right.
to work out. We can take that hit. Let's write it off and let's go work on something else that's going to probably do better. For
Jones,
us.
I wonder how much of Red Dead Online played into this.
Dude, I was going to wait until you said what you just said, and then I was going to bring up Red Dead Online, because there's the number that Rockstar and Take-Two thought they were going to make on Red Dead Online, and there's the number they did. I bet that gap, I bet, is bigger than $53 million.
Right.
So, yeah, this is pennies, I think.
Yeah. They
when
have,
you talk about companies, it's
they have
huge.
Grand Theft Online. So it's like
yeah.
they know that like we have one. Like
Yeah.
let's not risk that. Let's
Yeah.
keep that going, or if we have a next step for it, let's put that development into that. We really don't need to have another game as service, live service game. I mean, it sometimes it just doesn't work out. And
Every live service game that comes out, I've never seen one that they're like, yeah, we're coasting. This is great. You know, they're always like,
Exactly.
2 months after launch, they're like,
that's what it
we're
always
going
is.
as fast as we possibly can. We want to satisfy you. We'll make fun of some live service games before this podcast is over, don't worry, that have nothing to do with Take-Two.
Yeah.
But what sucks is
Yeah.
this. If you haven't heard of Hangar 13, that's because they were established in 2014, announced Mafia 3 a year later. Mafia 3 did not perform as well, to expectations. They were going to do Mafia 4. That got canceled. So then they did Mafia Definitive Edition. If you ask Michael Huber, that had some issues. And then this is what, they are. Their next project that didn't happen. Some of the people at the studio found out through the call. Were like, oh,
Right.
good to know. Great that we're not working on something.
But I mean,
And-
you say issues, but I mean, I think it's true of both Mafia Definitive and Mafia 3, that those games, like, they have their fans as well,
Sure.
as technical issues. So they're definitely mixed. There's definitely like a cult following to those games. I want to say Huber had a better time with Definitive Edition than I think Mafia 2 might have been. The
Yeah,
big
he
one.
still
Yeah,
will
he
tell. He
hated
will
one of them.
warn everyone to stay away from Mafia 2.
And I love Mafia
Because we were actually live streaming yesterday.
because I never played it, and I had a blast.
We were live
actually.
streaming when this announcement came out, and so
Ah.
I was reading it, and I didn't know what I was like fully reading yet. And as soon as I mentioned Hangar 13, Hubert was just crushed because he's like, "No, they made Mafia 1 Definitive Edition and 3." He goes like, "They're a good studio. Like this sucks."
But they haven't said they're closing the studio or anything. They're just canceling the
but
game,
the
right?
project.
Yeah, 2K's also assured me that the company believes H13 can deliver a critical and commercial success, and we will begin developing future projects soon. What
Sure.
does
I think
soon
he's
mean?
talking about morale probably because
Sure.
even if you're still kept around, like having a huge project you sunk like how many years into there and that much investment, it's like that's never going to see the light of day now. So who knows? If that's just like people just move on because of that because they didn't want to.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see the stories about this game and to see whether this feels more like a financial decision or whether it feels like they had another
maybe right.
Anthem on their hands, like EA had to deal with, and
That's
like,
a good
rather
point.
than pushing something out that was just not going to work, they made a better call.
That's true.
That's
I think we
really
need to
where
know
I would
that.
lean towards this, particularly since
Yeah.
they aren't seeming to be going through layoffs, that they do have confidence in the team, that somewhere they just like realized that the leadership wasn't there, the direction wasn't there, or just what they wanted to make out of it. Because I feel like that's what's, I think we'll probably get into the Crystal Dynamics discussion later.
I'm trying to stay away.
But I feel like the issue that Square Enix has with the Crystal Dynamics games is matter of expectations. Like
Yeah.
it's not that they've done terribly. It's not that this is totally not working out. But they have this lofty goal, and it's like, nah, this is not it.
Yeah.
Well, and one of you said it kind of earlier that they've got GTA Online going, but like I was curious, so I looked it up. As of August of this year, 2021,
Yeah.
8 years after release, GTA Online is still making about 2.5 million a day. So
Yeah.
that means that the
Yeah.
53 million sunk on this is recouped in 22 days.
There was some month, I think it was GTA in 1 month made the most it ever had a couple months ago.
Yeah,
More
so
than
it's
ever,
like
so it's
53 million. It's a lot to us, but it's nothing to these guys.
Right. And it turns out that, whenever like GTA shows up, as much as I love that series and like any event or something, it's like, oh, coming to a new console or whatever. Like it is big news. Like it will,
right.
or rather it will make an impact. What stood out for me about this, other than I'm just super curious about details, I want to see art, I want to know more about it, is this is usually like a Schreier poll. This is usually somebody leaked something, or like this was them coming out and telling, their investors like, oh, hey, this just didn't happen. So I wonder how much investors are going to hound them on like what are those developers working on, what's going on with the Mafia franchise, or if this is seen as a smart call.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because Damiani beat me to the punch, but like, it's kind of nice to see a company not fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. Like, to me, if I was an investor in this company, I'd be like, okay, that seems like a good call. Like, it's not wasting money, right? But I'm sure that it'll always read as bad news when something's canceled, but I don't know.
Got my good friend Michael Damiani here at the desk to tell me if something is cool.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm that person, I guess.
I'm gonna read a quote at you. Sega and Microsoft now have a, quote, strategic alliance that explores way for Sega to produce large-scale global games in a next-generation development environment built on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform. The alliance would form a key part of Sega's mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with Super Game, a new initiative for developing new and innovative titles where the key focuses are global, online, community, and IP utilization. Yes.
So I would say this sounds cool, but just going off our conversation we just had, it literally sounds like they're trying to fund another one of those big, ambitious live service games that, hey, Sega, you got wonderful IPs there, and you're doing a great job over there, but hey, we know you're not as big as us over here at Microsoft. We got some technology you can leverage if you want to work with us to like that super title. Like, I think that's become like a joke at this point. But
Super
it's been
game.
listed. Yeah, the super game. It's been listed. It's like a real thing. It's like, we want to help you make that dream come true. So let's have this. I found it funny that people rushed to the conclusion that this was Microsoft buying Sega. And it's like, no, that's not this. That's not what this is. But at the same time, it's just super game, man. I just gotta see this. I want Keely. Do you have it at the Game Awards? Can you like unveil this? I want to see Super Game, man. I hope it is called Super Game. I just want it to be
Project Super Game.
Project Super Game. I want that so badly.
This seems Blood mostly focused on development. This is like, we'll make it easier for you to develop games, and a lot of people are saying it's not surprising, maybe not necessarily for Sega to be making moves like this, but anybody, because a lot of people are working from home. A lot of people aren't super excited about going back into a work environment. We are, forced to reinvent the development process in the 21st century. Is that this?
I need to see more about it. I don't know. Like, personally, it kind of reads like one of those deals that will potentially never see anything come from. It'll be some behind the scenes networking thing. It's kind of like when Sony bought the Audio Kinetic or whatever, whoever produces Wise. It was like, oh, there was are they going to have exclusive, use of Wise and all of that? And it's like, no, everyone's still using Wise, and it's hard to say like what actually happened, from that. And so I think like with these kinds of deals, it's so vague, and it's almost like a preliminary kind of thing. And with Azure cloud servers, it's like, okay, well, so Sega will maybe potentially, do more cloud gaming, applications kind of similar to like what we've seen on the Switch or like on Xbox Cloud, but maybe not. Maybe, maybe they'll do some kind of metaverse thing with all of their characters.
That's
I don't know.
That's why we need to. I think we need something
Fantasy
more
Star
concrete.
Online 3.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm
so
confused.
It's so nebulous right now.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you, Damiani, because when I first saw this, I was like, oh, okay. Oh, well, we don't know anything about this. All right. And then I read some more and was like, wait a minute. I think Microsoft and Sega want us to talk about this. I think they want us to speculate. They're being very loud about this. Like, this is a huge ring, ding, 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 ding.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to team up to make games. Like, what? Like, so it's just why Sega? Why has Microsoft selected them specifically? Is this the beginning of a conversation?
I don't know about them selecting that. Like, I feel like a lot of people are using Azure stuff.
So we get Azure announcements every day from other
I mean, again, I'm kind of on Blood's boat where, the best case scenario for me is like the super game. We get to see it as something that becomes this reality through this strategic partnership. But it could just be as easily as Blood said, where this is just something they agreed to. It helps them facilitate stuff. You might see some Microsoft logos, or cloud gaming something on some stuff, but like, did it really amount to anything like spectacular? I think it's the reason they're trying to like drum up this announcement so much, like the hype around it, is because it's kind of a little bit of an arms race right now. While this is not a studio acquisition,
Right.
this has been what's the kind of the game between Sony and Microsoft this past almost like 2 years of the story of next gen is who's teaming up with who.
Yeah.
Who if it's not a studio acquisition, what is a strategic partnership? Oh, Sega and Microsoft, we expect great things. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, oh, something cool is going to come out of this. That's why I lean towards it's probably a cool statement, is because there are expectations. Even if we don't know what they are and they're nebulous, It's like something will come out of this and it'll probably be cool. And Microsoft remind us, hey, remember that partnership? Here it is, where it's at E3, it's the Game Awards, whatever announcement where it finally comes out, and they'll point back to this moment saying like, this is the fruit of our labors.
I wonder, because I get a little whiff of Microsoft getting Bethesda, and then we're all like, oh no, is like every single Bethesda game now going to be exclusive to Xbox? And it's like, oh, well, they're like, we're not necessarily saying right now, we'll find out later. And like, probably, like it'll really be with which ones aren't. And so I wonder if that's kind of the thing that we're like, maybe we didn't realize this was, Sega, like, if you were Sega, how would you take advantage of this? What would you?
I mean, to me,
how
just
can Microsoft
reading
help
over
you?
it feels like there's so much more focus on just development and just like having development tools and stuff available to have. Yeah, so basically, so that they can have access to more workers and remote work and that kind of thing. And so, but the super game thing is in there too, whatever the heck that is. But it feels like that's sort of almost like thrown in there to try to give
bait.
some kind of. This
it's
is why
fake.
this will matter, because otherwise it's like somebody using Unreal Engine versus Unity. And it's like, well.
Yeah. And to bounce off Blood a little bit more there, I mean, Japanese companies were the ones being kind of like singled out at the beginning of the pandemic for how will they be able to adapt to work from home conditions.
And there's a lot of
Yeah.
shakeups at Sega right now.
Yeah.
Sega's doing some weird moves. Like
So
some people have
this
left
could be
and-
another step in like we've seen the impacts of COVID-19 on our workflow, but we also want to make this like we want to insulate ourselves from future stuff like this. And also maybe we found a better way to do work, and Microsoft is going to help us get to that point where it becomes a little bit more long-term and stable, where we could make our workflow follow this model. So it could as easily be what Blood is saying, where they're just finding new ways to adapt to how the workplace is going to be handling things going forward, and which that is a very smart decision. But as you said, like, oh, we want to like drum up some like hype for this. Let's throw super game out there as well. Like this could lead to super game happening.
I want to see the Sega Super Game shirt.
Yeah.
According to
So-
their latest financials, Microsoft made $20.7 billion off cloud in the last quarter, almost half of their total revenue. So it's like, okay, yeah, I could see them wanting a poster child for, for people taking
So
advantage.
yeah,
of the
so it was the one I was thinking of it was Sony 2 years ago that had partnered with
correct
Microsoft on with Azure cloud stuff.
to power cloud services and AI technology. So yeah, they'll take any old partner. It's just, do you think there kind of is a not just an acquisition of Sega, but do you think there's have people been shipping Microsoft and Sega for a while? Is that like a partnership
that was one of the
made sense
rumors
before this announcement?
because there were.
I mean,
there-
that's been since Windows was on the Dreamcast.
yeah, but the,
Which I heard brought up too. I wasn't sure if that was relevant to this conversation. Yeah.
there were rumblings earlier this year in the wake of all the Obsidian announcements, like the clarification of what was going on with that situation, that some industry insiders claimed that there was another acquisition that was going to be on the same level as that, but it
Yep.
was also potentially going to be a Japanese studio. And so people dug through financials and like how the companies are structured, and it seemed like the company that made the most sense would probably be Sega, especially because Sega's parent company, Sega Sammy, spun off Sega's gaming department into its own entity.
I
and they're
love
like,
every time you have to re-explain this on our podcast.
yeah, it's like, well, why would they do that? And it's like, who knows? But some
Right.
people are like, well, maybe they did it to be easier to sell off that branch to someone like a Microsoft.
If you're gonna buy someone, then you're not gonna do a deal like this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
You
like,
see how it goes, man.
I
The
mean-
signs are right here. We're ignoring.
yeah, I mean, I could see people like, I don't know how informed that this answer is, but they would be like, no, this is like a first step. Like, let's start a business relationship. But like, they've obviously had a business relationship in the past, so it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what this really means about that either. But all these companies, as well as you said, Sony using Microsoft, these companies all do work with each other a lot, and so like maybe this is just like someone in PR just wanted to make a big deal about this, and it's as you said, Blood, this actually isn't that big of a deal to the average person. It's literally just a business thing that's going to be going on behind the scenes that will like
Right.
average gamers like be or consumers gonna be like,
Right.
whatever.
Sega developers will now be exclusively using Microsoft Teams.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that becomes the last practical application of all of this.
Not to the average consumer, but the average podcast moderator. Very exciting.
No,
Thrilling.
that's one of the funny things they added in Forza Horizon 5 is you can make a car horn that sounds like somebody calling you on Teams. And it means nothing to me because I've never used Microsoft Teams.
Wow.
Okay.
But it's the way, it's to
Microsoft.
troll people, right? If
Yeah.
you're playing on
that's
PC
pretty
especially.
good. That's pretty good.
Isla,
Hi.
speaking of evidence that it's just too much to be ignored, there are so many different things indicating that Final Fantasy Tactics is going to be remastered.
I've heard.
And yet at the same time, I don't fully believe any of it. But there's a lot of different things. Specifically, this week it popped up on a retail website called Instant Gaming. It's still there. There's a listing for a 2023 release date. There is a logo that uses the logo from Tactics, the original Tactics, but the background from Tactics Advance. So, you know, who knows? Placeholder. A user in a Final Fantasy Tactics subreddit allegedly got an invite to a playtest by Eidos Montreal.
Eidos Montreal.
And there was a massive NVIDIA GeForce leak last month, which you didn't talk about a lot, that had Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered on there. It also had
GeForce Link is so dodgy.
It also had Chrono Cross Remaster on there, so who the hell knows?
And like by remaster, it could be as simple as Final Fantasy VIII remastered, which was it was not a remake. It wasn't. It was it was. I don't want to like say it wasn't a great effort. It's still a good game, but like that obviously isn't something like on the par of like a Final Fantasy VII remake or even like a Shadow of the Colossus style like remaster, reimagining or not remaster, like enhanced version.
Final Fantasy VIII is in this weird position because it was pretty much impossible to do what they did, and yet people were still unsatisfied. Like they had to basically rebuild this game. They didn't have
because it took a lot of effort to like make that game, but like to the eye test, it's like it's just like up-resed. It looks nice. It's like that's great, and like that's all I'm expecting from this is like an up-res like nice looking version. But then again, Square Enix does have a history with like when they update games, especially anything that uses any kind of like pixel sprite-based art, it can go south really quickly.
Fonts get funky, windows get
bad
weird
fonts
colors
that you have to replace with better fonts.
It's so hard because it's simultaneously like a lot of the things that you've said, like the easiest stuff to fake. And yet Square Enix is remastering all sorts of stuff.
Right.
There's no reason for it to not be on the table because it's for Final Fantasy too. It's why not? And they've gone through so many other Final Fantasies, and like you said, the Pixel remasters and the Saga series and the Mana series, and they've taken just every fathomable approach they can to re-releasing a game. And this one has just sort of been on the sidelines since what was War of the Lines? Was that PSP or Vita?
That was PSP.
Yeah. So it's been a long time.
That was
definitely.
That was in the late 2000s, or was it early 2010s? I don't even remember at this point. But yeah, Square Enix has like one of their
2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of their business divisions has a team that is in charge of like coming up with like what the re-releases of their classic catalog basically, and determining which of these are going to be here, and then what studio within Square Enix will be helming that project. So this is an initiative from them, and like the recent history has shown like almost everything is fair game. I think the only thing, the Chrono one is the one I'm like, I'd love to see that in some capacity because it would give hope to people because like they keep re-releasing Chrono Trigger a million times, but they just will not, make a new Chrono, or they won't remaster Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross. So it's like, this something would be nice to show that you have like something. I mean, I think that and Xenogears are like the two games from their like catalog. People are like, please do something with it besides just like even re-releasing it, please. And it's like,
well, they have a lot of PlayStation era games that have that a lot of people want. But
oh yeah. But Tactics would be a nice one because it's also one that hasn't gotten, it did get the War of the Lions treatment, but that was now 14 years ago.
Get that Vagrant story in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see them coming out with Triangle Strategy. It's like, oh, that's awesome, but it's like you have this IP called Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, can you make another one or do something with
Right.
that? It's like, come on.
We got the 2 advanced games that were, but they were like not in this. Well, they were sort of weird. They're not exactly sequels, right?
It's a brand. It's called it's like the something of Evilise, just like there's Fabula Nova Crystallis. I forget.
The Evilise
Isla, you might be
Alliance?
able to look it up. Is it Evilise Alliance? The most recent thing they did do with it, but it's not canon, is in Final Fantasy 14. They got the writer to come in, director, the original director, to
Nice.
come in and write more stuff. And there's a lot of tactics lore and Evilise lore in there, but it's all it's using characters and story elements from those games.
Tactics
It's-
Advance, yeah.
Yeah, it's all original, like non-canon stuff. But it was nice to see that at least. But I think people really just want this to be real because it gives them an excuse, even if it's just a remaster of the original games. Like another reason to play more tactics.
I mean, that's kind of what I want it to just be like, just make it run on stuff and put it out again. Like, I want to just be able to hold my Switch and play this game, you know? Because, like,
you say Switch.
or like Steam Deck or whatever. But, like, I don't want them to make, like, dumb, weird, icky CG, chibi graphics or, like, some crap like they did in the older, you know? Like, don't, it ain't broke. Don't fix it, you know? Like, it's a perfect game. Just make it playable on
like-
something other than a phone.
You're asking too much. And another
Literally asking the minimum. Like, make it
look up-
widescreen,
here's the
maybe.
thing. You said even the last point, you said make it on another phone. Like Pixel Remaster, still only on Steam and mobile.
Right.
They're not on any other platform. It's like, what? What are you doing? So, like, I can imagine, like, Tactics Remastered coming to PC and to mobile only. Sorry, console people.
But I feel like
It's already on phones.
Yeah, I feel like
This new one, I meant.
it may be more likely to be from War of the Lions than the original.
That would be interesting to see because the Pixel remasters, remember, are the OG versions with no additional content from the
Right.
newer ones. So, I mean, that seems to be a different initiative. So, I think it's a coin toss at this point which version it would be.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
How much of that stuff that they have
Yeah.
from back then. So which going to be the easier
It
way
would
to
be
produce
crazy if they didn't do War of the Lions. Like, that's the phone one. Like,
That's true. Because it exists on there, that's probably the one they would go with. I
Yeah.
would wager. Yeah.
and it's just the, like, definitively better version. Like, everyone kind of agrees. I feel like.
Organic triangle strategy. What is it? What is it potentially, from what we know of triangle strategy, what would stand out to your average consumer that is not familiar with either of these games, but likes
I mean,
their
the
tactics?
Final Fantasy name, yeah.
Yeah. That's like the biggest thing is that. And it has like this legacy that people revere it. I mean, when people make Final Fantasy best lists, I think even here, like you bring it up, I think anytime it comes up, I like, does this mean Final Fantasy Tactics is allowed? Because it wins if it does, because when you do like the best Final Fantasy games, everyone just does mainline games, because if Tactics is included, it gets very heated about what is at that top spot. And, you know, Tactics also, I think, takes the cake for writing in a game, for Final Fantasy game for its time. It just was head and shoulders above the other Final Fantasy games. Not to disrespect any of the other writers
It's
out
just
there.
subject matter too. There's a lot of pretty
Yeah, it
intense,
was just a
dramatic
little
stuff.
bit more.
Well, yeah, it was a Tactics Ogre team, right? That essentially.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they're, yeah.
I mean, they're so similar. It'd be hard for me to believe that they weren't.
And I'm not sure what else they went on to after that for those who stayed around. But I mean, the only other time I've seen writing like that in the mainline series is in Final Fantasy 14. They have very similar styles of storytelling. So it definitely is different from the other mainline games, but like I appreciate it. So like that's the thing. Like Triangle Strategy though might have that level. From the demo I played, it's definitely going for that vibe as well. It's just I think it's easier for an average person to be like, Tactics game, okay. Final Fantasy. Oh, I know Final Fantasy. This Triangle Strategy, what is that? It looks like retro game, but this one's called Final Fantasy, so I'll take that one. Which is a whole interesting thing when they spun off like the Warriors of Light, the 4 Warriors,
Yeah.
and they wanted to specifically make a series that wasn't Final Fantasy. Kudos to them for believing that, which led into Bravely Default. So like I do want something like a Triangle Strategy to succeed and do well. And if this turns out to be false, like you want that to do well because that will carry the torch for SRPGs, the Final Fantasy SRPG kind of brand. That will be it, and you want that to succeed.
Well, if this dumb date is to be believed, we'll get Triangle Strategy next year, and then this remaster or whatever the year after that.
Yeah.
But I'm very emotionally invested in this. I know Isla is as well. Should I not
Yeah.
believe in this? The NVIDIA said that the inclusion on their list is neither confirmation nor an announcement of any
I wouldn't
game.
give any. Yeah, the NVIDIA list is just throwing a bunch of names in a database. That could be anything. But the other bits, there could be something to that. I don't know.
I would wager there's probably something to this. I just think, if you're someone like Isla where you just want the best version of this game to be available again and more easily accessible, you're going to get like all your dreams probably fulfilled from this if it's real. If you're thinking of anything more grand than that, you probably should reel in your expectations.
And, again, we brought up ActRaiser earlier.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere. There's no reason anyone would have thought ActRaiser was about to happen. And
But with
it was.
ActRaiser, they changed the graphics and stuff. So it's
Yeah,
like,
no, they would totally remade that
right.
game, yeah.
So it's like, don't bother. Don't make it look gross.
This is the week of announcements that seem exciting at first glance, and then there's not a lot going on there. I'm happy to bring them to the EZLS podcast. Skydance,
Yeah.
and Marvel
Ah.
are teaming up.
Nobody's going to know who Skydance is. We're going to have to explain that.
Skydance has done a lot of games, specifically The Walking Dead. That is like the main thing. Any of those Dead games, Saints and Sinners, their big last one. Archangel is a big VR game they're pushing. I went to their website and was like, I remember Archangel. Lots of big mech combat in VR. But specifically, they didn't always have her, but they now currently have under their employment Amy Hennig, who is dying to make a game, is frothing at the bit, has been through various studios, joined Skydance, specifically Skydance New Media in 2019 to create a AAA game studio, has not said anything since, and tweeted out along with Skydance and Marvel, which we're very excited about it, that they are going to be working on a game. That's it. That's all we know. And
Well, she did say something kind of like the pulp adventure or something. Like she kind of alluded to it would be sort of Uncharted, Indiana Jones-ish.
a third-person action game, I
Yeah.
think, is an action adventure, potentially, I think is not, whatever that means. Probably not far from what, she worked on Uncharted, went to, Lucas and, went to Disney and started working on something that looked third-person, and then specifically with Visceral. And then left EA.
With EA.
Left EA and Visceral in 2017. She's also writing Forspoken.
Yeah.
So she's
over there
working on a lot of projects.
with Gary Whitta, yeah.
Is there too many Marvel games is probably a stupid question. Is this, and this makes sense to just get this news out there to be like, hey, more, like we're working on this. Is this Game Awards? Is this E3 next year? When are we going to hear more about whatever crazy AAA game?
From what they just did, this is like when we first got the Avengers logo, man.
Yeah, I am inclined
This is a
to
long
think
way
this is
off.
minimum of a year off.
After Wolverine?
Maybe around the time we finally see Wolverines in something concrete about it, will be like the teaser for this will also be unveiled. I think that's
It's
the rough
so
timing.
hard to
Yeah.
put any kind of expectations on this when you have a brand new studio in a thing that was just inked. Who knows?
Yeah, but as the other point you're kind of asking about, I don't think there are too many. At this point, I don't think there are too many Marvel games. I think just keeping them spaced out is that's same thing. The cinematic universe, they've been pretty good about the spacing with those, the shows and the movies. I think they want to achieve that with the games as well, and I think they see the games we could get a few more out each year, and people are really clamoring for these. And it's even something like Avengers, despite we might talk about that a little bit later. It initially, it was it was a big deal, and its launch was got a lot of people to play it and stuff. So if things follow through on that, I think it's a very lucrative property to just be working with, and everyone wants to be making games with it. And I think Marvel realizes then hey, there's more. We can have more. We can go bigger here. Let's keep it up. So I think this is. I'm just curious where this is going. What this is gonna be. When you say it's something like an adventure, Indiana Jones type vibe or whatever, it's okay, who's it gonna be on?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really where the difference is, right? Because Marvel is just such a huge brand that it can be easy to say it's another Marvel thing, but when you then say, "Oh, Wolverine,"
Right.
from Insomniac, like that's a whole
Right.
everyone's for that.
Right.
And as skeptical as everyone was for Guardians of the Galaxy, now there's like a lot of
Yeah.
people that are like, I'm gonna put this on the top of my Game of the Year list, and so it really depends on what it's going to be for it to first to know whether it's going to feel like too much and also what else is in the pipe. What else is going to be available around the time that's available.
Yeah, where's that Marvel vs. Capcom revival? Where's that at?
Oh, okay.
You got the scoops on that, Jones?
I don't have the scoops on that. No,
kidding.
there. But I figured they would announce it. I figured they tend to announce these things the absolute millisecond.
Well,
that
like
they're
everything,
able to.
everything being so big with Marvel games and having potential. It's like, sorry, this is a little tangent, but Marvel related. It's like,
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, I'm not a big player of fighting games, but that is a fun game to watch. So.
Yes.
What if it's like a Control-inspired Doctor Strange game? Just
for this,
got the whole world bending around you.
I'd be curious if they try and go with if what they tried to do with Guardians were not the game, but like the property, where let's dig into some of our lesser known properties and we don't always have to keep going back to a Wolverine or a Spider-Man. They seem to be just doing just fine, and they've got their developers already attached to them, but. Man, they
have a Punisher game, It's been a
We
while since one of
don't
those.
have a Punisher game, Bloodworth.
We don't have. Oh man, where's Huber? He would be going nuts about a Punisher game, man.
We do have a Deadpool game 2 gens ago. Right? That was okay.
Isn't every game a Punisher game? You just shooting stuff.
I would just love. I don't know. I'm thinking about. I'm looking at all of these games. I know Guardians, there's a lot of pew pew in that, but there is a lot of swords and slashing and stuff. And but I just look at Midnight Sun, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, Avengers, Future Revolution, all their mobile stuff. It's it's not a lot of guns. And then they bring in, this developer who's just, please make a game, Amy. She's been working on so much exciting stuff.
Jessica Jones game.
Ooh,
there you go.
The whole crew, Daredevil maybe. I don't know. Looking at prior projects. I am excited, but it sounds like we're not going to hear for a while. And now, a word from our sponsors. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Rather than looking at the credit score alone, Upstart considers other factors like your income, current employment, credit history to find you a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. I didn't get a loan, but I did check it out. I did put my information in, and I did get that rate in minutes. I put it on my list, and I was like, that's something I got to do today. And then I did it and was like, cool, I can check that off the list. That went by very fast. You can even receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/easyallies. That's upstart.com/easyallies. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/easyallies. We all shop online, and we've all seen that promo code Field taunt us at checkout. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online, ranging from sites that have tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. Here's how it works. Imagine you're shopping one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button drops down. All you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you will watch the prices drop. I've said before, I've bought Easy Allies equipment, saving money with Honey, and I like saving money with Honey. And I like Honey because a lot of our sponsors I was able to check out, or I was able to get, check out their services. And then sadly we have to move on. It's like a one-time thing. I love the Honey's always like, hello. I'm always going around and shopping, and Honey pops up just to let me know. Puts a smile on my face every time. Honey has found over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. Think about $2 billion in savings, and then you think of $53 million on game development. It's just not that much money. It's literally free. It installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/allies. That's joinhoney.com/allies. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies. Thank you. Facebook's now Meta.
Please. or I'm out.
So they-
Press release.
headsets
Press release
down.
me.
Yeah, just the ejection seat. There is good news. They're not gonna require Facebook accounts Meta accounts for Oculus. Hasn't happened yet. They're gonna start winding that
they
away.
said Facebook specifically. So they're going to have another account.
They'll have,
They will have a Meta account that you're going to need.
That would be such BS, dude.
Yeah, no, that's the entire
Sign into your
point.
Meta with your Facebook account.
You're still going to need an account. You're just going to have a different account.
So, you're
That's not
so
tied to your
right.
Facebook profile.
You're so
More
right.
accounts. We love accounts.
Did you
here.
see the thing that there's another company that was already called Meta?
Yes.
And they were like, hey, what else?
Who are we then? I'm sure that Meta doesn't have the plans that this Meta has. This happened in October. This happened so long ago. Again, we recorded the podcast early. This is ancient history, but it is kind of funny, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up. At the company's annual Connect conference, Zuckerberg said, quote, "Right now, our brand is so tightly linked to one product that it can't possibly represent everything that we're doing today, let alone in the future. Over time, I hope that we are seen as a metaverse company, and I want to anchor our work and identify on what we're building toward." Yada, yada, yada. He almost had me when he said we're so tightly linked to, I was like, scandal? Like what? Like the $5 billion you were fined by the Federal Trade Commission for deceiving users about privacy?
Fascism?
Or this month, a Facebook whistleblower came forward with testimony that the company repeatedly lied about its safety efforts around political misinformation, hate speech, and promoting ethnic violence. So I love Zuckerberg being like, we're doing a lot. And Facebook's just the one thing. That's why we're changing the name. They're not keeping anything called Facebook at the company. So it's one thing if he's making new things. Facebook will now be a part of this. Facebook is gone. How do you feel about Facebook becoming Meta, Bloodworth?
Wait, is Facebook not called Facebook
No,
anymore?
Facebook itself will still be
Facebook
Facebook,
is
but
still
the
Facebook.
overarching company will
This
be
is
Meta.
just Google making Alphabet to have a
yeah,
parent
because-
company so they don't get sued for.
Well, remember, it wasn't that long
monopoly
ago
or-
that they changed their logo, but it was only the corporate logo and the Facebook logo. It almost is better. It really is less confusing for them to have a different name.
Yeah.
To be overall, this and Instagram and getting rid of Oculus. I agree is stupid though. Oculus is too good of a brand. There's no reason to get rid of Oculus and replace it with Meta. You should have kept it. But anyways.
That is very weird.
Yeah, getting rid of the Oculus Quest and it's now going to be the Meta Quest. It just sounds worse. I don't know. It just sounds worse.
I'm like a strategy guy.
Right, Meta Quest. I'm like,
I'm reading an entry in a strategy guide right now.
I mean, and a company name at some point just stops mattering because it's just a name is a name. It's an identifier, and once you know it, then you know it. But
True. Facebook is a heck of a name when it comes to
Right,
the era of our lives.
I'm just saying, once you cross a certain point, it doesn't matter how ridiculous that
Exactly.
name is. It's just a name.
Yeah.
Nintendo means nothing to any of us. Even it's even debated what Nintendo even means in Japanese.
Yeah, if Nintendo wanted to we'll make more than video games again, so we're gonna spin off. We need a parent company name now because Nintendo's is our video game branch, so we're gonna make something else. We're gonna call it Toad. Our new company is called Toad now, and now everything under it's Nintendo's a branch under Toad. No one's gonna call it that. They're gonna call it Nintendo for eternity. Everyone's
Right.
the average person's still gonna call it Facebook. This might make perfect sense to business people, to industry insiders, to certain groups of people, but to the average person, I think the point to me, Blood, when you say there's a point, it's that point where something just passes into pop culture. It's part of culture. I mean, it has not been a good part of culture for a while now, but it still is a part of it, and it's you can't change that. And trying to change that is fighting against gravity or fighting against time. It's this is futile as heck. And also I'm 100% convinced it's not even just for what they're saying. Obviously, this is all mostly misdirection because hey, we have a lot of bad press right now.
Of course,
we got to scramble. Because you even said another company's hi, we're Meta. What are you doing? I expect Facebook. I'm not calling them Meta. Facebook will probably sue them into oblivion in courts or whatever, so that they can't put up a fight. But everyone's just gonna call it Facebook, and they're just trying to distract from all the terrible crap that they've been going through.
This allows them to create other products, and at some point they just keep all the data they got off of Facebook and just nuke it, and then
Cryptocurrencies and NFTs.
No.
gosh, please no.
They've said.
I know they said, but like, I mean,
this is a big week for NFTs. Okay, we'll talk about it more, but very exciting.
No. I mean, whatever. I don't care what they're called. I mean, everyone's just gonna call it Facebook forever, and yeah, they're just trying to distract from the fact of those nice little bullet points you read off of like their bad press lately. It's like they're just trying to sweep that under the rug, despite like, oh, we'll pay your fines, like whatever, blah blah blah. As long as like everything's back to business as usual. And it's like, no, like.
Well, but that's the thing is like the average Joe, like none of us need to refer to Meta.
Yeah.
For anything, like it's like we never talk about Alphabet. We're never talking about like the company of Alphabet. You know, we just say YouTube or Google. You know, we're gonna say Facebook for Facebook because that's all we ever talk about besides Oculus, right?
Yeah, but that's the
we'll
thing.
see.
Is like they're getting rid of Oculus. That's the weirdest part. It's
I mean, that one we'll just keep calling Oculus.
Well, it's like it just. I guess it just depends, like where things go in the future, like how much more involved they get, like in our space, like in gaming, like how much more invested they get in. Let's say in the future they do get more invested in it, and they have a few more companies. So it'd be like at an E3 of their own, they're likely to more do their own events. Like, hey, we're doing a Meta event, and there'll be Facebook announcements there. Whatever new, like if they have new company for gaming stuff, like we'll announce that there. Like that's where it's going to start coming up.
Right.
Just like when Microsoft acquired all these studios, like now like the.
they just did the Resident Evil 4 VR, right? They just released that. That was them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not too far fetched to think that, like, you know, not too distant future, you know, that type of thing will happen. And so for someone like us, we will like clarify, like, oh, so it's the Meta event or whatever. That's like their title, but like the product they're showing off is like under Facebook or under what was Oculus. I'm so confused now about like the name changes.
But
and stuff.
I think that's what it essentially comes down to is like they don't want to be sitting here talking about their VR and getting, you know, again that like this bad press or people not wanting to jump in because they don't want to link a Facebook account to it. You know, that's the thing. They're like trying to separate these apart.
That's why I don't understand why they changed Oculus to Meta. Because it's like, isn't the whole point of this to have Meta be an umbrella that doesn't share a name with something else? Like, why then make it share a name with something else?
Yeah.
But I think maybe the whole thing is that VR seems to be the point of what they're doing, right? Like they're actually pushing
their
more
new stock
towards
ticker
VR
is,
than anything
their
else.
new stock ticker will be MVRS.
Yeah. Yeah. And
The
a
memes are very funny.
A lot of people making fun of them just showing off like people with like virtual whiteboards and like,
Of course.
yeah, we're gonna wear a headset for a meeting. It's like,
Yeah,
no.
not a chance.
Well, it's really but I mean they say the same type of stuff. And they talk about the metaverse bringing brands together, you know, and putting them in the hands of players to make them do whatever they want with Fortnite. And it's just interesting to hear these just like pie in the sky, lofty visions that like I'm used to that stuff not panning out, you know, like I'm used to when somebody comes out on a stage at Sony and Microsoft or something and it's like, hear me out. It's like,
yeah, I just don't have like the plan. Like it doesn't sound like it sounds like they're just picking good buzzwords, saying stuff that like sounds good on, you know, on paper, but like will this pan out to be anything other than, you know, just a name change in the end? Like going back to like our Sega and Microsoft discussion, it's like, yeah, this sounds like big deal, but like what is it really going to ultimately amount to, you know? And I think you were mostly right, Bloodworth, about like, you know, what they were doing, but then it's just, to me, again, it's so much, I think it's just as mind-boggling with like with the Oculus change. It's like, what? Why is that getting that now? It's like, so that doesn't give me a lot of faith in like they know what they're doing. Like it just seems like this was like assembled hastily to try and distract people from their bad press lately. But I do believe they have something planned with this that they want to go forth. It's just maybe they don't have it fully realized yet. They're like, but like anything to take off the heat right now, kind of like with the Activision, that they're crap with like not putting the Activision logo on the Call of Duty stuff. Like, oh, we don't want you to know we made Call of Duty. It's like
that was short lived, but that was very much the same.
Yeah, it's
thing.
like I wouldn't be surprised, you know, in like a few months, whatever, if this ever blows over, like, hey, we're going right back. Oculus Rift, it's back, and its Facebook account, it's like, oh, damn you guys. It's like, seriously, like that was the whole point. But yeah.
Did you want to talk about Activision Blizzard? We can talk about Activision Blizzard.
If you want to, I don't know what else is what's new.
there's
Well, I
news out
mean,
for sure.
I have a job here. I got to bring some news to this
I didn't know if it was
podcast
on
that's
the
relevant this week.
Sorry, I didn't fully glance at like the docket for what was today, so I don't know if it's actually on the docket today.
We've got a few things for that.
I have a lot to tell you about Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard.
Unlike Facebook, you came with a plan.
Yep. Activision Blizzard had a bad week, and I
Not
understand
having a bad week.
that is saying something. Get this. These are all a bunch of scattered things, but it's all happening in the same company. For their third quarter, which ended on September 30th, Activision Blizzard reported revenue up 6% year over year to $2 billion. Candy Crush revenue, brought all of that, rose 22% to a new quarterly record of $652 million. Blizzard revenue was up 22% to $478 million, driven in large part by Diablo II Resurrected. Activision, dominated by Call of Duty, posted revenue down 17% year over year to $641 million.
So
Hey.
cheaters.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, Call of Duty fans might not be super jazzed about the company that's making their favorite game. But it happened. Again, that's one of smaller
Somehow I
things.
doubt that was the problem.
I'm pretty sure, it was what you said, Warzone. Warzone cheaters.
For the fourth quarter, they're forecasting revenue to be down 16% year over year to $2 billion. So again, we're talking about billions of dollars for this
Right.
massive company. But
We're also talking about 2020 to 2021. It's just like last year, everything was up. So at some point, things are going to dip from the year before.
I have not been reporting a lot of those things. Certainly, Call of Duty was not one of the things I thought I'd be bringing.
Yeah,
So I'm a little surprised.
yeah, Call of Duty, because even with the Blizzard stuff, I don't know if it's too recent to be reflected in this report, the financials, but I mean, the supposed it has been happening. I just don't know how significantly it's impacting World of Warcraft, but the exodus of World of Warcraft players to other MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV, more recently with New World, the players just are dissatisfied with the way that game's being run. Was that a big enough dent in it? But you specifically listed Blizzard there, and they're up, and I'm like, well, yes, it wasn't.
Mostly because of Diablo, but again.
Well, but will that, once that Diablo bump comes back down, will that they be the next to be like, we're posting a decline?
Well, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 are delayed to 2023, so
Oh, yeah.
not sure what's going on next year. They're going to have an interesting year in 2022. But don't worry. Bobby Kodak's got the answer.
Okay.
He took a 50% pay cut. He's reducing his base salary. Oh, I'm sorry. He's reducing his salary to $62,500, and he pledged to increase diversity.
Legal minimum, basically.
And in April, he voluntarily took a 50% pay cut and bumped it down to $875. Now it's all the way down to $62,000. How's he gonna eat?
I mean,
This guy.
yeah.
I mean, last year
Don't
he
worry
got like
about
a
Bobby.
multi-million-dollar
He's one of
bonus.
the
Yeah.
one of the highest paid CEOs in
I
the
mean,
biz. So
I would feel good even if the shit they're going through right now wasn't going on. It was just like the usual story of layoffs. That's the thing, layoffs. They still have post-record earnings and still lay so many people off. And it's like, if you were taking that pay cut to keep people's jobs, cool, good. But how much money he's made and everything that's already happened, it's like, this rings so hollow. It's like,
It's a PR stuff.
Of course,
what? I don't care, dude. It's like, you either leave or get kicked out, but you just making the minimum, it's like, no, that's nothing.
I wonder, it's headlines like that make me think about the Bobby Kotick folder at Polygon or Kotaku or any of these companies. We have to go in and just click on all these images. Like, what dumb picture of Bobby Kotick do I want to put for him being like, I got it, don't worry, $62,000 covered. They are spending money on other stuff. That will hopefully create positive change in the company. Blizzard specifically formed a World of Warcraft Community Council to collect player feedback. And they announced that they are offering a $1 million grant to Women in Games International, which brings me to, I think, the biggest news drop out of Activision Blizzard this week, which is co-leader Jen O'Neill left, making now Mike Ibarra the sole boss. Hasn't said a lot since she left. He said he's going to talk more soon. She's the former head of Vicarious Visions, which we've just found out is now going to be completely dissolved. They're going to lose their name, which they've had since 1991. Mm-hmm. Following that news, she said, I'm out. She came in August. So she was there for not even 3 months. And now she is leaving. She is going over to Women in Games International to put that 1 million grant to work, and she's going to be leaving by the end of the year. Already a board member of WIGI. Does this?
Wait, she's leaving WIGI by the end of the year?
She's leaving Blizzard to go
Oh,
full
okay.
time.
Yeah.
To she said it was a new position. Hasn't really detailed specifically what she's going to be doing there. This is interesting. Do you
Yeah.
think Jen had these plans, which came on in August? Like, I'll stick around for a couple months, but then I want to get out. Or is her relationship with this company just kind of grew in a way she wasn't expecting? Or
Well, I definitely think it grew in a way she wasn't expecting because, Vicarious Visions and, Blizzard are very far apart. And so, we've known that news about them being pulled into Blizzard a while back, I think around the time that Diablo 2 Resurrected was announced or something like that.
the name specifically was
yeah,
the bummer this week.
That they were essentially being but the name that we
Oh, we
already
knew?
knew that was
No.
that was happening. But I think that got wrapped up in the reporting of Jen O'Neill.
Got
leaving. So, I mean, I guess there's a few different angles I could think of. Like one, like there's a personal angle of, maybe she didn't really want to move to California, and didn't want to go through all that hassle just to to deal with this with one company. And I think the other thing is potentially that she saw where things, had gone wrong with Blizzard and realized this is a bigger issue than just Blizzard. This is an industry issue that needs to be addressed. And it sounds like she figured that she could do more good by being in kind of like an external third-party role to try to make changes throughout the industry and try to like bring these issues to light wherever they may be, rather than just trying to fix Blizzard on her own.
Sure.
And we'll have to see how that pans out if we see more efforts. If we start hearing the name of this organization come up more in other contexts, if they approach Ubisoft or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of thing functions and how it betters the industry. And I do think that the steps that, Kotick announced are positive. I just think it's like we said, it's like, it feels like almost no matter what you say, like it takes the time to like, the changes just have to be made. Like you have to keep making changes and those changes have to stick and people have to be satisfied or it's like almost no matter what you do, it's like you're still going to feel like, well, it doesn't necessarily fix what went wrong.
Well said, but yeah, it's so hard to not be just so cynical about everything they're doing. Like I see myself, the first thought I had is like, oh, convenient, you give $1 million to this foundation and then one of your, C-class people moves over to take over there. Oh, that's interesting, and I'm not saying there's anything nefarious, but it's always interesting when that sort of stuff happens. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know what Bobby could do that we wouldn't scoff at.
Right.
And like, even if he quit or was fired or whatever, at the same time, it would be like, okay, yeah, but what are you doing to actually like address the thing? And like we learned earlier today, like, I know different company, but like if GTA Online is making $2.5 million a day, donating $1 million to a foundation is nothing. It's like nothing.
Well, yeah, in one quarter they made $2 billion.
Right.
They're going to make 16% less predicting in fourth quarter just $2 billion. They're like, so it's
Right.
like that's
And, like,
again that's where
billion
this company's operating at.
It's so much more than million.
And I mean, but it's worth reiterating that Jen O'Neill took over for J. Allen Brack when he stepped down in August, and her and Mike Ibarra they were running Blizzard. So she came in like, all right, I'm going to take over. And a lot of people at the company, specifically a lot of women, are like, damn, like we had a woman in charge. That was
Right.
nice for 3 months, like that, And so it does raise that question: where can she best make change? Isla, does it make sense to kind of take the catalyst of Activision taking a hit here and like ride that wave as far as you can through the industry?
You mean for her to do that?
And I don't want to put, question her motives or say she's making the right decision or the wrong decision. I have no idea.
I mean, shit,
she's just
I
such an
wouldn't wanna work
interesting
at
place in
Activision.
this whole tornado of just, yeah.
And I think like, yeah, any chance you get to better your own situation, do it. Like,
Sure.
Especially if it's not going to hurt anyone, if it's going to make things better. And especially in her case, like, I hope you're right. Like, I hope she's able to go over to this place and like make the whole industry better. Because that's what we need is like some kind of bigger force to like, encourage better behavior, and like get people hired into positions that can make different choices and get like more equanimity across the board, gender and race wise and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, because like it's kind of like in so many other areas of society. It's like Blood was saying, these changes are going to be so gradual that it is going to be hard to measure or even point to a specific cause sometimes, like the thing that fixed it. It's just going to be like the bastards got to go, and eventually people who are less bastards take over. And then over time in human history, 300, 400, 500, 600 years later, there aren't any bastards anymore.
Yeah. We
And,
need
like,
we
that's
need
just
the
how it
Blizzard
goes.
bastard count. That's what we don't have. And I
Yeah.
thought Jen was going to give it to us. Maybe we'll get it later. Can Jen? So again, more power to Jen. It's going to be interesting to see what she does in the future. Can she exit the company and make a landing with this quote? I am doing this not because I am without hope for Blizzard. Quite the opposite. I'm inspired by the passion of everyone here, working towards meaningful, lasting changes with their whole hearts. It's tough.
That doesn't mean anything.
I'm taking off after 3 months, but things are going great, or I believe in them, I guess. It just that was a little incongruous based on everything else she's doing, but she's in a very, very difficult situation. Activision Blizzard's monthly active users plummeted by 13% year over year to 26 mil, according to that earnings call. Whew.
Hey, that's actually pretty, like, that gives me the most hope of any of this, that like the people boycotting and stuff can actually make a dent. Like, yeah, that's actually cool.
And that's not a month or a week, that's the quarter.
Yeah.
That's one of those big chunks of info that they
Yeah,
definitely pour over.
I don't think even a percentage of that is accounted to people boycotting, but
Sure. Or if any of them care. But Jen cares. We'll see what Jen's going to do. Good luck, Jen. Also this week, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is apparently going to be in VR for the Meta Quest 2. Just barely missed that information. Some comments from the podcast where they're like, whoa, they're not talking about San Andreas VR.
Okay.
I didn't know. I actually did not know until, because I'm just sweating that trilogy remaster we're getting next week. But didn't know specifically that they're adapting that to VR. That might take forever. That might not look great. Who knows? I don't know if they're using the new engine, the new textures. Sony created an official PlayStation PC label for their franchises moving to PC. The words PlayStation and PC were put together in a logo by Sony. Nintendo released official websites for The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, and Link's Awakening? Elaborate. What was this?
it's for the Game & Watch.
You mean?
You remember how you got the Mario one?
They're landing pages for the Game & Watch to expand upon those
Because
individual
those games are on the Game
They
Watch,
already
yeah.
have
Yeah.
a Zelda mainline site that has entries for those.
Cool.
But
just a lot of art,
cool,
a lot of stuff people hadn't
Love
seen.
was saying like good artwork, but also on the Nintendo of America site, they're actually doing a weekly series now, a blog about.
Oh, nice.
The first one was about localization differences between the games that are going to be on there. It was actually kind of cool. It's like, oh, whoa, like I mean, it's already out there, but like it was nice to see them even like acknowledging stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Because I heard that the Japanese versions are going to be on there as well.
Yeah, so they also I think the blog might already be up. I haven't checked it. The second blog entry is supposed to be about some of the new mini games that are being included with the clock functionality.
Oh, right.
Like they haven't covered all of that just yet. So
Okay.
it's like I expect there's gonna be videos out, but they're just doing this all through these web pages. It's kind of cool.
Nintendo is shuttering their California and Toronto offices and relocating those that want to move. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a situation that we need to get more information before we know what impact that's going to have on the company or games in development. But
Yeah, I think we need a hard number on the layoffs at some point to really
Well,
at the end.
It's not a layoff situation. It's more of an office closing situation.
That's what it
I mean,
seems
there's
like.
going to be people that are like office staff who are not going to be offered positions, but so from what I know, basically they're closing those offices. The people that work there are being offered jobs in Redmond to come, and work in the main office. And some of the people are going to want to do that, and some of the people are not.
All right. So if it's a relocation thing and like people don't want to relocate, then if that's all it is, then it sounds like maybe it was just like the offices they're closing were in two very pricey cities. And
Redwood City is not cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
very pricey areas. So and it just they have these nice campuses for their headquarters. It's like, well, just move everyone here. Be a little bit simple.
Where's the headquarters? Redmond where?
Redmond, Washington.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And is it Do they still have a Vancouver office?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah. It's
So like
Toronto and Redwood were the ones that were closed.
right.
Okay.
Marvel's Avengers is removing paid consumables, heroes, catalysts, and fragment extractors. Heroes, catalysts, and fragment extractors. I had to include the names of the actual things.
man.
Because aren't those the thing? Like, aren't those perfect names?
Those are great.
Get those fragment extractors out of here. This was the bonuses that they added that people were upset about, the consumables. They were shocked.
We didn't think of this as pay to win.
Yeah.
Whoa.
This,
I'm
we're,
so
we're-
sorry.
our player base is evolving. We thought it was the perfect time to do the thing we said we weren't going to do.
We put it on Game Pass, so we thought it was a perfect
Don't worry.
way to get money out of people.
Spider-Man's coming on November 30th. We don't know what he looks like yet, but he's going to be here on November 30th. In less than a month, we'll be playing a
Really?
character no trailer
Holy
has
crap.
been released for. Assuming there's a war table coming this month, hasn't happened yet. We'll see. Maybe just a trailer. Speaking of Marvel, Midnight Suns has been delayed to the second half of 2022. Quote, let it cook. Niantic is shutting down Harry Potter Wizards Unite next year. Another AR game bites the dust. Nikkei Asia reported that Nintendo will make 20% fewer, roughly around 24 million Switches through March. But they're already, all consoles are hard to get. Anyway, Honor of Kings World was announced. This is Timmy Studios' AAA game in a popular MOBA franchise. Just one of those things. I was like, I don't know Honor of Kings, but a lot of people are saying Honor of Kings World is going to be something that you're going to
I mean,
whoa,
I watched
out
that
of nowhere.
trailer. I was like, I don't know if that's actual gameplay or not. It looked cool, but like in terms of its franchise, apparently it's like, right, it rivals Genshin Impact. It's like tied for the biggest.
I can see
thing
Keeley
out
at the
there.
Game Awards like doing a thing. It's like the very well-known franchise. We're like,
It's
what
like
are
bigger
you
than
talking
bigger
about?
than
And it's
Fortnite.
like,
apparently.
oh,
It's
wow,
like,
yeah.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
Speaking of Fortnite,
Oh yeah.
did you know there was a custom version in China? China had their own Fortnite. It was just their own little,
All right.
little Fortnite all to themselves.
Makes sense.
But no longer. Came out in 2018, shutting down. PAX South has been canceled, quote, for the foreseeable future. Just stop
Too many packs.
Stop making those.
There are a lot of packs.
Dice is apparently going to come back next year. It's like, it's like these are all risky. Ubisoft invested in Animica Brands, a studio that does blockchain technology.
No.
Woo!
No.
Your
Yeah.
unison disappointed O was so funny.
Ubisoft. The headlines, man. Nobody gave them, the benefit of the doubt on this. No one was like, oh, look at this, Ubisoft and them. They all had some snarky titles. Like, I hate this company. Can't wait to play Far Cry 6. Playing Riders Republic right now. Having a grand old time. Animal Crossing's New Horizons Happy Home Paradise is going to be the game's last paid DLC, according to Nintendo.
And they pushed out the 2.0 like a day and a half early. I've been playing it since yesterday.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
why everyone was
crazy.
talking about it, because it was early.
The
Okay,
free-
I haven't had
the full-
2.0
free
went
update
out.
was open.
Yeah, the DLC is still
early.
Friday, tomorrow for us right now, unless it goes live tonight. But Switch stuff doesn't always do that. But yeah.
If you're listening to this
2.0 is
podcast,
sick.
go get it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think it was Polygon or somebody celebrated. They're like, it's apologize to your neighbor's day. Because everyone was like, wait a minute, I got to re-download this and update it. And like, oh boy, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
my guys were
curious,
like, I
but
haven't
do
seen
not
you in
have
8
time.
months.
Right now.
The guilt. Let's play a game.
Ah.
Spin all the way around.
Careful.
This is from Alexander Zarianov. Let's play a game that will test your knowledge of gaming middleware, specialized software the developers use to implement certain features. Don't worry, you've seen these names in numerous games intros, and you'll be given 3 options to choose from. Havoc
Yeah.
is a lighting engine, B, physics engine, or C, Twitch integration library.
Physics.
The
All right. Correct. 2, Speed Tree is a tool for A, decreasing loading times, B, foliage generation and animation, or C, localization.
B.
B is foliage generation.
I didn't know that one. I forgot.
Didn't know that one already.
You don't know about Speed Tree?
I feel like they're
No.
trying to get our confidence up right
Yeah,
now.
I feel
Speed
like
Tree, though.
We're about to get slammed.
What's the most recent game that had Speed Tree?
Oh, it's in like everything.
Every game pretty much now? Life is Strange True Colors? has
Everything
it?
with
Like-
trees.
like-
Yeah, if it has a tree, it probably used
It's ubiquitous.
Guardians that have it.
Bink Video
Oh, yeah. That's
provides a video player, dynamic resolution, or HDR support.
Hey.
Video player.
It's true. Old school.
Yeah.
Love me some Bink.
Is it W-Wise? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah.
W-Wise?
Everyone that I've talked to just says wise.
Wise.
You have to see it written out to even realize it's
Wise.
another W. Yeah.
Wise.
Wise is an engine for AI, animation, or audio.
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 You're so smart. Simply Gone is a tool for 3D geometry optimization, pathfinding, or saving and loading data.
I didn't
I
say
think it's
A.
A.
It is A. Fair enough. I'm sorry. They're too smart. Umbra helps with texture streaming, detecting invisible objects, or using photogrammetry.
I want to say C, but
It
that one
might
I'm
be
not
C.
sure.
I think I've seen
That
this.
was
I've
C.
seen this before. I
I've
think it
definitely
might be
seen
C.
them, but I don't know what they do.
C.
Wrong.
A or
Detecting
C?
invisible
It's B.
objects.
B.
Wow.
Wow.
Which I can imagine how frustrating that must be when you don't find things.
Yeah.
Speaking of invisible objects,
That
I
makes
love
sense,
that,
that name.
the Meta VR is studying ways for you not to punch kids. I love that. They're like, any
Yeah.
4-foot thing comes scattering into the room, the VR will flip out. Oodle is a solution for destructibility, data compression, or pathfinding. Oodle.
This one I have never heard of.
B.
B.
Pathfinding?
Data compression. B.
B.
That was fun about Silicon Valley, as they would talk about technologies that like just didn't exist. They were like, "We've solved this thing." It was like, that'd be fun if we lived in that world where data compression worked that well. Finally, Fmod, FMOD, is an engine for sound effects, dynamic lighting, or cheater detection.
A.
Sound effects, I think.
C?
Or is it cheater detection? Oh God, what is it?
A.
Woo,
Sound effects.
Yay.
Yeah. I know that one.
Well done.
Fmod.
Fmod. It is now time for love and respect.
Love and respect.
From G the Finger. I hate video games.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Or when I look at video game culture, I think I hate them. There's very, very little about the general gamer culture that I enjoy. In fact, there's a lot I really detest. And we're not even talking about the obvious faults of racism, sexism, the overall hostility of gamers, but more the image that comes to mind when I envision a gamer. I grimace whenever I see a Greg Miller type wearing a graphic t-shirt with a pop culture reference on it, sitting in front of figurines, moaning about the details of a press release. I'm embarrassed whenever I see someone crying over a me costume announcement in Smash Brothers. To me, Jeff Keighley is just the guy who makes Miss Piggy tell Portal jokes. The entire community feels childish, the embodiment of Arrested Development, and what I believe to be the primary reason many don't consider games art. It's to the point where I don't want to tell casual acquaintances or colleagues that I like games. And that's the thing. I love video games. I have 2,000 hours in Destiny 2. Mortal Kombat means more to me than several long-term romantic relationships I've had. I love many people who comprise game culture, like all you allies, even if you may fall under some of the examples I gave. I love the art, but in many ways I want no part of it. Have any of you experienced this schism between the thing you love and the people you associate with it? Or is this an example of, quote, let people enjoy things, adoration and admiration?
Greg has a beautiful new baby now. He's doing fine.
Greg is, yeah.
He's a breeder.
He's, yeah.
Have you seen the people on those Nintendo commercials? They're real hip.
They're having a good time. That
They're
guy's
very
playing his
hip.
OLED in his hallway and having a blast.
Which of those do we fall into?
It's like,
Yeah, I'm trying to find me in all of
I
this.
mean, I got no problem wearing a bunch of game t-shirts.
I mean,
so.
yeah, we know where
Yeah.
you fit.
it feels like it's.
Not so many.
I do have figurines
I
in
feel like
my
it's such
I
a
have a lot of
generalization
amiibo, I
now
suppose.
because using the word like gamer and stuff, I know why it conjures up those images and stuff because of like the historical stereotype with it. But I mean, there are a lot of people today who don't want to use that term anymore. But like to be in the broader sense, it's like there are so many people who are technically into video games now that it's like it's so ubiquitous that it's like it could be anybody. So I feel like this is more a damnation of like what the old guard stereotype of like what a gamer is. And yeah, it has its problems. But to answer their question about the schism, I think there have definitely been moments about like I don't call it a hobby at this point. Like gaming is a hobby where there's some elements of like the community or just its existence where I'm like, that causes a line for me where that makes me feel embarrassed a little bit about what I do and stuff. But like at the same time, like I also don't want to like judge. But realistically, the most common way I feel this schism is in telling people what I do.
Yeah.
Like because in terms of a career path, there's still so many people out there who are like, that's not a real job.
Right.
And it goes, and for people even a step above us who are like just influencers or just Twitch streamers, it's content creators on YouTube. They even get like more shit than like we will ever get, and like from the average person, because like you just sit in your ass and play video games all day.
People in esports, man. I bet esports people with their relatives and family members and close friends are just like, you're going out of town for what? It's like, it's my team. It's a huge deal to me, you know.
So I think it would help to propagate that like a better image of like video games, like the average video game player, that it is more diverse, that it is more inclusive, because it helps make it more broadly accepted. It is a very big thing in pop culture. It is still widely known, but I still think there's that like element of like embarrassment, or it's not, people don't take it serious enough still. And I don't think we're going to get there until some of the stuff that was pointed out here is like, that needs not be what comes to mind at first thought when you think of a video game or a person who plays video games.
Well, it's funny because like the people stated in the question, like we know them. They're like very professional business people, you know. And it's like, I think that the stereotype of gamers, you know, I mean, it's like anything else. Like fanatics are the problem. Like you were saying, Damiani, like just about everybody's a gamer nowadays, like to some extent. But like people who are like fanatics going out of their way, like doing crazy stuff, that's
it depends
the issue.
what crazy. And also I want to clarify something. Like I think it was a little unfair to, I know they're being a little sarcastic in there, but
Yeah,
like,
I think they're
like
joking
yeah,
around.
like Greg Miller is like a great person and like is not fit like the later part of that description of stereotypes, or at least in the negative version of them. It's like there clearly are people who are like at the top of our industry who
Keely's done a lot
like,
of
the
great works
better,
with the Muppets,
yeah,
and
like,
we don't want to,
they're
you know.
doing their best to like try and improve that image,
Yes.
and you know, name who the people do that. And you're right, Isla. I think that most likely culprits who still paint the negative stereotypes of gamers and video gaming come from the more fanatical extreme end. But at the same time, there are some like people who do really like get really passionate, really involved in something, and do something so spectacular, so crazy that actually ends up being awesome and positive. So it just depends like where they're really coming at with that versus like, is it like a form of gatekeeping? Like I'm like the biggest expert in this, and like look at all this like stuff I do, and like anyone who's not like me is like not a true fan, like, or someone who says like, I'm gonna open the can of worms, like, you know, people who like argue you play Souls wrong by like trying to like play multiplayer, or, you know, like want an easy mode, and it's like, oh, you're ruining Souls and stuff, like get out of here with your discourse. It's like, no, like let people have like however they want to experience a game, you know, like who cares about that? And I mean, people who make like wonderful like cosplays, like people who make like replicas of like someone I saw made like a full version of A Link to the Past map, like out of like just sculpted it. It's like those types of like passionate fans are like that stuff's awesome. So like there's both good and bad that can come from it. So I think it's a little bit, you know, I don't want to say all the most fanatical people are negative, but like you're right, Isla. I think the bad seeds do come from that, like that part of the spectrum. It's just, man, I think the negatives get way too many focus sometimes, but also it's I have to concede it's a bit deserving because they've done a lot of damage. They have
For sure.
infected a lot of people with like their toxicity, and you know, converted a lot, like they command a lot of respect and power, so they influence a lot of people, especially like younger people who will look up to them, and so they think that's like the best way to act. Plus they're reinforcing all these half these headlines we talked about are stemming from those types of mindsets where it's like this was like a fraternity type environment. This was like a dudes club basically, where, you know, misogyny ran rampant. You know, we only hire people who, you know, are like, we don't like want to hire minorities. We don't want to hire any diversity here because we all like the like-minded people here. We all like this is good and stuff. And it's like anyone who pushes against that, like they feel threatened and challenged. And I think it's not unique to gaming. It's obviously in every industry. It's just like the narrative that always comes around. Anyone trying to hire diverse people in this industry or trying to clean up the image, it's seen as like an assault on them. Like they take it so personally, and it's like, your stuff is like, we're not trying to erase or get rid of the stuff you like per se. Like even like you know, like freaking like whatever titty games or some shit like that. It's like no one's saying like those to go away. It's like
right.
we
No
just
one's
need
saying
more
that.
representation.
No one's saying that.
We're not. That is not the position of the Easy Allies podcast or Easy Allies on Patreon. I'm sorry, please continue.
Patreon.com/easy
yeah.
/titty games.
It's just like they can't all be that. Like you just need more stuff out there because there are people out there who have different interests, and it's like,
lots of different interests. Huge industry. I love playing a game or getting into a franchise or something, and then just like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And it always goes further than I would ever have the time to explore. It's always just even stuff I love, like Grand Theft Auto and like.
It's so easy when you're in enthusiast press, or if you're a consumer watching enthusiast press like us or whatever, like it's so easy to forget that how niche this like infotainment branch is. Like the sales numbers prove how inconsequential like enthusiast press really is. But like when you're watching a lot of it, consuming it, certainly when you work in it like we do, it's really easy to forget that. But like I've been playing video games my entire life. I'd never even heard of E3 until I was editing one like for game trailers, in like 2008 or 10 or whatever that was. So it's like you can play games all the time and just not read the news about it.
Right. And shout out to Keeley, because I think Keeley's trying to normalize like all of this. Like Keeley's out there, like tap dancing on the stage just because he's like, I want celebrities of every medium. I want musicians. I want filmmakers. I want people from television. I want them all talking about games. I want them all thinking about it. And that's kind of frustrating to see like some random celebrity come out and talk about adventure games and blah, blah, blah. You're like, who are you? But I think it's all in the effort of just making it more normalized, making it so we can talk to our relatives about it and not get made fun of.
Yeah.
Or have them just like bail on the conversation after 10 seconds.
I mean, it's nice when I hear from someone who I don't usually hear about in terms of like the game industry, like mention something that they saw and mention it in a positive light. Like that always makes me like kind of like smile a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I'm glad you hear that, or you don't feel any kind of like embarrassment or shame about it. Like you actually like think about it is a positive, and like it makes you, maybe you're like a little bit more happy that like I work in this industry and like you actually care about it. It's like if you can reach like people like parents and stuff like that, like the older generation, and like it speaks volumes to like how much wider of a reach this like that they can do. And like people like Jeff, people like Greg, who are just trying to push it out there a little bit more. Like they'll get criticized a lot for like, oh, why are they doing these like celebrity like crossovers or these are things, and it's like because they're trying to expand the reach of this. Like that's the cost of it. Like unfortunately, like I see like the Game Awards get criticized so much for being like it's just a marketing event. It's not an award show. Like the award show is like ancillary to like it's to market all these cool trailers. I'm like, well, okay, that might be a fair criticism, but at the same time, it's like it needs to reach a bigger audience. And like we do have an award show. We have like,
every year.
We have the DICE Awards. We have the DICE Awards, and then we have the one at the GDC conference. Like we have two very like respectable long running award shows as well. And like the Game Awards also do give out awards as well, but it's like it's doing a juggling act there, and like that's not something I would want to do. And so it's like it takes someone like a Jeff Keighley to like walk that fine line and pull that off and make those headlines. Like same thing with E3. Everyone wanted E3 to die. Why did everyone want to come back? Because everyone got upset they weren't getting into like the USA Today or the CNNs. Like they weren't covering video games anymore. Like wait. We need that like week where everyone's talking about video games. Bring it back. Like they finally got it. Like that's what it's gonna take. And it's like you get rid of those elements. Yeah. Everything starts kind of like
even just hearing local news broadcasters just be like, hey, did you hear that video game thing happen? Like E3, I heard about that. Anyway, back to the news. I was like, oh my god, they said it out loud. Like even just that.
E3. Oh my gosh, that's
a
so
huge
cool.
deal in LA. But wonderful. I like that. Thank you, Isla, for statements you've made, and obviously Bloodworth. But Damiani, 3 points, nothing but net, man. You really summed a lot of your opinions up really, really well. I like that. Thank you. From Todd Durham, we have two great love and respect back-to-back questions. Thank you from Todd Durham and Brandon K. Gann. Starting with Todd Durham. I'm trying to 100% Metroid Dread. I am absolutely stumped by some of these speed booster puzzles.
Yeah, dude, what the shit?
What's even worse is I look up how to complete them, and I still can't pull it off.
Oh, great.
So that got me thinking about difficulty in video games. Have any of the allies ever come across a challenge in a video game that they just couldn't beat and ultimately had to walk away from it?
The speed boosted Metroid Dread. There's like 3 of them, and I was like,
winning in Chivalry 2.
Like, the direction is wrong. Like, what?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of my favorite things that they had Metroid Dread, that they actually brought that stuff back, and Zero Mission and be the same kind of thing where you see a speed booster block and like a vertical shaft, and you're like, huh?
Well, it's not even the verticals. It's when it's like You have to
Yeah.
start your
Yeah,
speed
you have to
boost in this
chain.
room, go through 2 doors, go up a thing, left through some pitfall blocks, and then right into the
there-
thing. And it's like it doesn't last that long.
The best thing that I loved about those.
No, they're right.
Is that I would work out and spend some time and figure out a way to do it, and then I'd post my clip like, hey, I got this one or whatever, and then I would get somebody would say, oh, here's another thing that you can do.
This.
I saw that discourse.
And then I tried that, and like, oh, but you can also do this, and it's like 4 different ways to get this same exact spot.
I thought about it for like 2 seconds, and I was like, I don't need the 2 missiles. Like
that too. It's optional.
It's not about the missiles. It's about
the percentage.
figuring
So
out.
like I like
the
way
to do it.
The puzzle element of that in Dread is like I really appreciate it, but like I'm glad I had it, but I'm also glad it was made optional because it is something that's a little bit more complex than most of the game in terms of like traversal mechanics. It is the most advanced stuff in platformers probably to do some of that stuff. Side a little bit with you, Isla. I do think within the game itself, it doesn't do a great job of getting the average player acclimated to all the Shine Spark, how it works
The
specifically.
nuances,
Yeah, like the nuances of it. I think it's like they rely on you to like trial and error, like to see like, oh, you can continue your momentum up through here, and like that does work. And it's like, I think a little bit more explanation, or maybe this one tutorial area, or like a segment when you get it. Like
it's funny because you say that, but I feel like the first place you can do it is like right after the speed booster, and it essentially is like,
oh yeah,
it's like an in-game tutorial. It just doesn't pop up with a bunch of text to tell you.
But I
everything
feel
you
like
can do.
everyone's extent of the knowledge of it is that you build it up, you charge it, and then you can use it to go diagonally, you can go vertically, you can go horizontally, and you're gonna break through blocks. And it's like, but doing it and then banking it, doing it again and banking it. There really isn't anything other than those extra optional
you can
missiles.
bank it?
Yeah, so your solution to your thing. Sorry, I let to spoil it. Is that
Please spoil it.
you can do one like going forward, and if you hit a ramp or a solid, if you as long as you don't hit a 90-degree angle, you can hit down and recapture your Shine Spark and then initiate it in another direction.
Oh.
And
This
While
is the
you're
walkthrough
moving.
content I keep trying to bring to Easy Allies that I feel we're just not delivering on.
Also, if you have Shine Spark and you jump in the air and then you hit Y plus B in the direction, you can Shine Spark in the air as well.
And then bank it again?
No, you can't bank while you're in the air. You have to hit.
You have to
hit a surface.
Basically, you have to go from a Shine Spark back into a regular speed booster in order to bank another Shine Spark.
Okay.
So the main way that happens is by going across a ramp.
It also doesn't help that I played this game for 5 hours on a plane, and then not at all for 2 weeks, and then 5 hours on a plane, and then
Sure.
not at all for a week, and then like for another 2 hours. So it's like, I was just trying to remember. Like it took me a while to remember that I had storm missiles or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh yeah.
There's stuff in Horizon 5 that's kind of like this too, to where you'll just.
Are you giving up though? Are you walking away?
I think there might have been some in past Forza Horizons that I've been
You like bank a Shine Spark into a Ford Mustang?
Well,
Or
no,
what are you
but
talking
there will
about?
be like, so there will be, there's like the smashable boards. Sometimes they'll just be in like the craziest places. They'll be on like the top of a rock formation, and you're just, there's nowhere for me to jump to this. Where? There's another one that was like, there's like a support pillar under a bridge with like multiple levels, and one of them is like on like the middle level, and like, well, how? Where do I go to jump?
You
to
crash
hit
into
this
another
thing?
car and hope you
3 had
wind
one
up.
like way out on like one of those kind of like pillar island things off the coastline. So yeah, so I think there's definitely stuff like that I've walked away from, and it's fine or whatever, but it can be fun, like you said, it's the puzzle of figuring out how to do it rather than the reward, because in both games, like the rewards are nothing. They don't really matter. It's just that niggling sense of, there's the 1% of things I haven't gotten.
I got 1,000 gamer score on Red Dead Redemption. Undead Nightmare, though. I had to kill a bear with a knife, an undead bear with the knife. And what I would do is I would just shotgun it like 8 times. Like I would count like, okay, 9 shotgun blasts kills it. So I'll hit it with 8 and then like just knife it as much as I can. And I think I spent like 3.5 hours one day, and I was just like, I can't. It was it. It was the last thing I had to do, and sorry, Red Dead. Wish I knew how to quit you. From Brandon K. Gann, the other end of the coin. Currently, I'm replaying my favorite game of all time just to get the lone trophy. Doesn't say what it is, though. I've yet to unlock, but it takes a very specific set of steps across a couple dozen hours to reach. It's not even a guarantee. While I haven't reached that point quite yet, I realize that all the effort just to go after this trophy is ludicrous if it wasn't a game I loved. So it inspires me to ask, what's the furthest you've ever gone in a game to get something, whether an in-game weapon, item, etc., or unlocking a trophy or achievement? Thanks for reading my question if you do, and stay easy, fellow allies. So when did you not whack away?
Okay,
Got it.
Okay.
Even better if you like bailed and then came back.
The Witness is the first thing that comes to mind. That
Yeah.
time trial thing was a bastard.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
man.
gosh. Only point in that game that has like music, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, some of the videos do, but
Sure.
yeah, when I finally got that, I was like, I collapsed. I was like, oh my god, it's so hard. Platinumed it.
Yeah, it's definitely the hardest platinum that I've ever gone for. Yeah, so many of these things are so hard otherwise to think of specific examples.
I'm a funny case because like, if I don't love a game, I don't even think about the trophies at all. You know, but it's like
I don't think
Bloodborne
about
and
I don't think
Witness,
about
I
the trophies or
platinumed, you know?
achievements in most cases.
Yeah.
Like it'll be this rare circumstance where I'll look and like, oh, there's only 3 things left that I haven't gotten, and this is what they are. Okay, I'll run across the map and grab that thing or do whatever little trick I have just never thought of doing. You know, like Uncharted will have the things where like hang off a ledge and shoot someone with a shotgun. I'm like, oh, sure. Like, you know. But yeah, when you talk about something like that where you're replaying a game and having to do some complicated series of steps to get a trophy, it's like, again, it's like, I'm not going to do it for the trophy's sake. It better sound fun. It better sound like an interesting challenge. But I'm not going to go through, you know, and play the game on normal and then play it on hard and then play it on very hard. Like,
Right.
either you unlock the very hard at the beginning or I don't care.
That's why something like the Witness challenge is so fun because it's like really, really, really hard, and it changed enough each time to stop it from getting frustrating. But I knew I could do it,
Yeah.
you know, and then you just had to do it. Yeah.
Long strange trip for me. World of Warcraft. Do every single holiday event in the game. So obviously, if you miss Halloween, gotta wait a year. Give it another shot.
Oh, I see.
You don't have to do it all in one year, but like Valentine's Day, Patrick's Day, there's all of their little dumb
This is
events that they would
before
do.
these games started to only do them once and never do them again, huh?
I mean, this was
They change it up each time.
just whenever Arthas was happening. So yeah, it's like 2012, I don't know. But I got an achievement to get an achievement because for getting one strange trip with a buddy helped me got. I was actually at a Fish concert and my friend did like one last dumb thing, some PvP thing I had to do and tried and couldn't make it happen. And he was like, if I have time, I'll log in as you and like try to do it. Pulled it off while I was at a concert. And to get that, for that, I got the Azure Drake was my reward, which was my 50th or 100th mount, which I also got another achievement for.
Dang.
So it was just like double duty. I was just
Shame.
waiting. So yeah, that was a big PvP match that my friend did for me. I appreciate
Ooh,
it.
Jones. Very nice.
It's time for bets. Next week's bet. Next week, before this podcast, Daniel Bloodworth is going to do any race he wants to do in Forza Horizon 5. He is going to lose. How many characters will be in the gamer tag of that race's first place winner? There are 12 total characters possible. Used to be 15.
So this needs to be an online
Used to be
race,
15.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Because otherwise, it's like I have the same set of driver tires
Correct.
in the list almost every time. It's always Giant
right.
Bomb.
We're gonna make a celebrity out of
Planted
somebody.
and- yeah.
Hopefully, they're not
Shane
don't have an
and-
offensive name. We might have to blur it, and you'll just have to count on us that we got it right. Damiani, what's your bet?
The max 12.
Going 12, going to the max. Isla,
Dang, I wish I'd gone low.
take it to the max.
I said 9.
Oh, I said 10.
I
Bloodworth.
said 11.
You got the low.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I will say, I think in Forza as well as a lot of other games, people try to max
Just
it
on
out.
Xbox
yeah.
in general, you
It's
got big
like-
names. You got big
It's
names.
going to
yeah.
be
15
XXX
numbers if they
something
can.
XXX. Yeah.
Fun. This week's bet, Just Dance 2022, launched on November 4th. I want to know what position will the first version that I see, which is likely Switch, on Amazon's hot new releases page right now. Brad Ellis bet 7. Michael Huber bet 15. Isla bet 22. Blood bet 21. And I bet 13. I got it right, Shmyan. I can refresh. Here we go. The first version that I see, if the PS5 version bumped ahead, then I will
Stadia
pick
version
that.
won't be on there.
The Stadia
I'm gonna
version
play
will
this
not be on
tonight.
there. This is the physical version. Just Dance, number 11.
Whoa.
Closest to me at number 13.
Whoa.
Bringing our scores to Jovial Penguins 27.
Wah, wah, wah.
Vociferous Beavers 21.
Nom, 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 nom.
That's right. Speechless when we get the win.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do with yourselves. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. Patreon.com/easyallies is where you can go to primarily support the allies. It's where we go. It's where our most expansive financial offerings are. There's obviously lots of ways to support us, but if you go to Patreon, you'll see lots of different fun tiers. That's not only different monetarily way you can contribute to Easy Allies, but lots of fun ways you can get something in return. You can be involved in shows that we do. You can get stuff early. You can ask us questions. The vast majority of content we produce at Easy Allies has a little bit of our community in it, and they're a wonderful community, very nice and loving and respectful community over at patreon.com/easyallies. So go over there if you want to check it out. Even if you're not interested in giving us a dime, there's a lot of fun stuff to learn more about the group that is Easy Allies. At the very top of our tier, again, I still got the same shout outs, right, from last month? Because the same shout out tier.
And you can get in on
tip
that
top
shout-out
tier.
tier.
If you want to jump in,
Yeah.
you can join these
There are
wonderful
open
people.
spaces.
Shout out to El Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, and Nick. Shout out.
Shout
Shout out.
Wow.
Nick busted his wrist while skateboarding.
Ooh.
He said on the showcase, he gave us our showcase post from the hospital. It's just on his phone. Hey, what's up, everybody?
It
Love
was very
Nick.
sweet. Very nice to hear their
Badass.
voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Always fun.
Nick's got a wonderful accent that I love.
Yeah.
Shout out. Hope you're feeling better. I won! I get to promote any Easy Allies video I'd like to promote. I get the final word on anything I disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into my head. And I get to sign off with my trademark sign-off. I'm going to promote my unpacking review that Blood brought up, but that I was excited about. It was a weird review because I did not think I was going to love the game as much as I did. I was very impressed. It was a little bit longer than I was expecting. There's a lot going on in there. And I wrote the script and then cut the review like 2 weeks later. I had the whole project done, and then I was just like, I got to remember not to cut that review to hit that embargo. But it's getting a lot of positive press around there. I'm excited about that game. Fun storytelling. Final word. I think Activision Blizzard is going to be around, maybe living longer than the cockroaches. I don't think this is going to take them down. But again, I want to reiterate, there's a couple of dings in their armor. I think it's about time. Cheers.
If you have Shine Spark and you jump in the air and then you hit Y plus B in the direction, you can Shine Spark in the air as well.
Super game.
Please.
Patreon.com/easyallies/titty games.